High school football is here. We are at Garfield Park watching Rayby High School practice. You can see them behind us. We have pretty big expectations for this year's Rayby team. But first, I have to tell you who we is. I'm Beth Long, Annie Costable, and Michael O'Brien, my partner in crime here at the Sun Times. You can use the hashtag Sun Times Game Week to follow along or tweet us questions during this. Tweet us, Facebook, send questions on this live stream, and we'll answer them for you as long as provided we have the answers to those. But with that, I'm going to introduce our newest member of the gang here, Annie, and pass the mic over to her. Annie, go ahead.
Thanks, guys, for letting me into this Sun Times squad of yours. Today, we've got an exciting show for you. We're going to preview the 2018 season. I know everyone's obviously got big expectations. They want to know who the teams are to watch, who are some of the players to watch. We're also going to take a look back at last year's season, just briefly, talk about some of the teams, how they finished, who are teams you obviously need to know. And then we're going to reveal probably the biggest news of the day, the number 25 team all the way down to the number 11 team in our preseason Super 25 rankings. But first, Michael is going to tell us a little bit about the team we're out here watching today. Rayby High School, give us the dirt.
Yeah, it was a huge year. Talking about last year for Rayby, they were 11-2, made it all the way to the state semifinals, which is the farthest any West Side team has ever gone. So they were super proud of that. They lost a lot. Tyshawn Turnipseed, Sershawn Gardner, just a lot of talent, but they have two really big players back. Romella Gostin from NIU is going to NIU, and Marshawn Foster, who's going to Western Michigan. D'Angelo Dreef told me about some other future superstars he thinks that he has coming, but the bar has been set real high. They thought they could beat Phillips last year and then came up a little bit short. I'm sure they think that again, but it's going to be tough, and we'll see if he can really start a program here.
Realistically, how are they going to make up for some of the losses that they had from last season?
They have a lot of guys apparently that were backups for 2 years that are ready to step into those roles, but you never really know until you actually see it. They have 27 kids, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot for them. It's the same amount they had last year. And we're going to find around the area most teams are down numbers, not the Lincoln ways, but we hear freshman and sophomore football levels are down. So at least Rayby knows they're 27, and they think it's kind of the next man up thing, you always hear coaches say.
Talk a little bit about the competition level in the CPS. Just who are some other top teams that they're going to be going up against, and how they'll pan out against some of those teams.
Well, Phillips, we're not going to talk about them today. They're not in the 25 through 11. They're a little higher, not to spoil. Everybody knows that. But yeah, Phillips is loaded. Maybe like we haven't seen a CPS team in a really long time, I think.
Maybe a team in a long time, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they're loaded. And then you got Simeon. They have Alante Brown going to Michigan State. He's kind of an exciting quarterback. And there are some other teams to watch, but I think it's a pretty solid top three with those, I would guess.
I think Solorio could maybe sneak into the conversation, but for me, those are the ones that I have my eye on. And I will say, being out here at Rayby, watching them practice, feeling the spirit this preseason, Coach Dreef is not one to really hype a team, and he has been hyping this team. So I think we might just see them go up from here.
All right, I think what everyone wants to know now is the Super 25. Should we get started with those top teams that you have for us, Beth?
Yes. Okay, I have to preface this by saying people always ask how we get to the Super 25. I lock myself in a room for several weeks and go through as many football stats as possible. That's a slight exaggeration, but not really an exaggeration. I don't think I've seen the light of day for a while. So with that, know that there's a lot of time, thought, effort, and hopefully luck that goes into this to make sure these teams are actually in the Super 25.
I mean, it is preseason, so there's only so much you can put into it that's going to be exactly right. Once the season starts, the Super 25 will express more of maybe the correct teams that belong in there. But we believe in Beth. We know this is a great list.
I certainly hope so. Well, there's a reason we're here watching Rayby practice, because they are number 25 in the Super 25. They ended the season just knocked out of the rankings. Morris was 25. I truly believe that 25 might actually be the lowest number we see them ranked this year. It'll obviously be up to them to put out in the field and perform, but I'm really excited to see what Rayby, as Mike mentioned, all of the athletes he has and the athletes that Coach Dreef has been hyping up. Number 24 is Bolingbrook. So Bolingbrook is a team that always has talent. They have a really great coaching staff, a lot of experience there, and this year they've got 2 Big Ten commits on their team, and I think that this could be the year that they've been building towards for the last couple of years. Another team that I expect probably will inch up in the rankings during the first few weeks. I'm excited to see them play. St. Charles East is number 23. Simeon, like you mentioned, number 23. So 2 CPS teams in that first 5 in the top 25. And I am just pumped to see Alante Brown play this year. I mean, watching film on him and seeing him with a team that's another year older, another year wiser, I think could be a really good combination for them.
He spent the summer, I think he committed to Miami of Ohio, which, is a good school and all, but he ended the summer as a Michigan State commit, which is obviously a whole different world. So yeah, I would guess he's improved a little bit since I saw him last year.
And that his ceiling is just so high. And another little plug for you guys coming up this week, we will have kind of a recap of all of the recruiting and changes and movements like you just alluded to look forward to, just like a recap of the summer, so stay tuned for that. And with that, number 21, Montini. Montini was a bit out of the conversation last year, and I believe that last year was enough of a rebuilding year that they have same sort of deal with Simeon, another year of experience, another year wiser, another year older. I think we're going to see a lot from Montini.
Yeah, head coach is in his 2nd year this year. Do you think that makes a difference for the team, just being under the coach, in a 2nd year?
Yes, especially at a place like Montini. I think we'll see something similar at Mount Carmel, which we're not talking about them yet, but we'll be there soon. With it, when you change from a legendary coach like at Montini, a coach that's been there for a very long time, you're going to see a change in scheme. And sometimes the athletes need to learn the scheme, right? Like you have a set of plays and you're a senior and all of a sudden you're asking me to totally switch it. It's like switching conferences your senior year. Things look different. So I think additional years with the same people, like those freshmen, sophomores from Montini, will eventually be able to contribute at a much higher level because they've seen the playbook for 4 years.
What were some of the biggest changes that you saw in the Montini team when the head coaching change was made?
I don't think Montini football changed. I know you can speak to this too, but I think it's just more when a new staff comes in, it's fresh blood and they kind of have to feel everything out themselves, right? So you can tell me that Alante Brown's going to be awesome if I'm his coach for the first time and be like, Alante's got to show me what he's got, right?
They had a lot of talent to replace. How many kids from that, the last team went, D1, it was at least 3 or 4. So yeah, it was a bit of a down year getting used to a new coach, but Montini will be fine. I've seen other people have them even higher than Beth.
That is true. I do think that this 25 to 21, so to recap, Raby 25, Bolingbrook 24, 23 St. Charles East, 22 Simeon, and 21 Montini are all teams that have huge amounts of potential. And quite honestly, it was harder for me to figure out from 20 down to 15 because these guys were like, well, they have to be in. I just don't know how high they are, and they're in, so we'll see how high they go.
Yeah. Cameron Mitchell from Bolingbrook, he's committed to NIU, and Anthony Williams to Michigan State. Talk about those players and what separates them, what makes them some star players on the Bolingbrook team.
Bolingbrook, since the first year that I started covering high school football, has had standout athletes. There's not been a single year where you could go to Bolingbrook and be like, Bolingbrook has some of the best, if not the best athletes in the entire area. These 2 kids are in the conversation for that. They're both Big Ten commits. I'm excited to see Anthony Williams play this year in particular. I think this year's crop of running backs, even the younger running backs, are going to be actually the biggest game changers that we've seen for a while. And I think it'll be interesting to kind of slot them, who is actually going to be. Is it going to be Anthony Williams? Is it going to be somebody else?
It's clearly going to be Ty Gavin because the Notre Dame fans are obsessed with Ty Gavin.
I mean, he's great.
Yeah, I don't know, but
he's a heck of a
everybody
running back.
really loves Ty Gavin.
I do not blame. I do not blame them.
But Anthony Williams, he played at Simeon as a sophomore. He transferred to Bolingbrook and was a bruising running back as a sophomore. So you had to imagine now as a senior when he's going to be even bigger and with so much more experience. He was very good last year. They threw the ball a lot, but he's going to be. I mean, Bolingbrook, they're super exciting. They didn't always win last year. I'm not sure if they won ever when I saw them, but they always played a really great team, really tough.
Bolingbrook fans, you don't want him to come to your games, I think, is what's happening.
Beth, why don't you give us the next team? We left off at 21. Who's our number 20 team?
Number 20.